Welcome to another episode of Southern Arizona's Nonprofits, the superheroes impacting our community. We're broadcasting live today from the Tucson Business Channel, a division of Mark Bishop Media, from the Stewart Title corporate offices on Broadway in Tucson, Arizona. This show is brought to you by SCIP, SSCIP, the social service contractors indemnity pool that's been insuring nonprofits like ours for over 30 years. This is Barbara McClure, Executive Director of Impact of Southern Arizona, host of this show. And with me today are two people working in nonprofits helping and recognizing veterans and providing a space to remember and honor veterans and other heroes as well. Please join me in welcoming Tom Roblee, Commander of the American Legion Post 132 in Oro Valley. Welcome, Tom.
Welcome. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining me today. And Lisa Hopper, who is the Executive Director of the Arizona Heroes Memorial, also in Oro Valley. Welcome.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I thought it would be fun. We can start with Tom. I was going to ask you a little bit about the American Legion because I think many people are familiar with that term and know the organization by name, but maybe not exactly what you do other than veterans helping veterans. So in what ways do you reach out to veterans and how do you find them?
Find them, they come up. However, it's so many different ways. But what we do for the veterans is we go to the VA hospital to visit the patients. We take them water. We take food down to the Fisher House, and they make some food down there for the people that come to visit the veterans. They can eat right there. Other ways is that one of our biggest ones is that we go to funerals, our honor guard, and we do the rifle firing and the flag folding and then playing the taps. And that's to honor the ones that have passed away. You can find veterans all over the place. And a lot of times it's word of mouth.
Sure.
Your neighbor talks to such and such a neighbor, talks to such, and it just keeps going. And we get the word out. And we go through, myself as the commander of the post. I've got a adjutant that works hard for our post. And we've got what I call the first vice, or what the Legion calls the first vice. And they help with membership. And the more members we have, the more power we've got in Congress to fight for veterans' rights, educational, medical, disabilities, and it just goes on. There's no end to the list except for getting the word to the younger veterans that are coming out of the service that were there in Oro Valley. Women veterans. That's one of our biggest pushes this year is women veterans. Say a person gets killed in the service. We also help their families. Sometimes they require rent. Sometimes they require food. Silver Bell up there in Marana. I think there's 2 units, and I'm not exactly sure the name of them because it's Army and I'm Navy.
Sure.
But we've done Christmas parties up there where we've helped serve the food. We've helped pass out some of the gifts. We've taken pictures.
You do so many things, really, don't you?
We go to schools because we also, part of our pillars is children and youth, which is we go to schools and show them about the flags, what each fold of the flag means. Our honor guard has gone to almost 13 of those schools up there in the Oro Valley area to present the flags, post the flags, opening ceremonies for youth baseball, American Legion baseball.
Very cool.
One of the other things is that I just lost my train of thought there.
Well, you do so many things.
Yeah,
so.
Well, we do. And, we're just trying to get the word out to the veterans or veterans' families or service members. We don't, if you're not out of the service yet, don't worry about it. Come talk to us.
It's a good idea. Can be proactive and learn about it beforehand, before you exit.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I wanted to ask you a question about the flag folding, because I grew up in a family where when we would go on vacation, we had a flagpole at this place we would go, and it was always a big deal to go out in the morning and hoist the flag and bring it down, and our family taught us how to fold it. And, you learn so much about what the stars and the stripes stand for, but when you talked about what each fold of the flag stands for, I never knew there was
Yes.
something about that. Maybe you can share that.
The 13 folds are like the first fold, and there's a little paragraph that's red.
Oh,
Then the second fold, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th. And then the 13th fold is where you tuck it in, and it forms a triangle. And that triangle is from the colonial days when the hats of the naval officers were triangle shaped.
gotcha. And then is it supposed to be the 13 colonies then? Or is it
No,
just, it's
the
just
13 folds that
Sure.
they came up with that, and I don't have that in front of me, but there's a paragraph for each fold.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm going to have to look that up.
And you
I've
go-
seen it so many times, but I don't think I've ever heard the story that goes behind it. So I'll have to pay attention
Yeah.
differently next time.
Funerals, churches, schools. When we go out to the Heroes Memorial, about a month from now, we'll present the colors, and we'll be there for that. When we go to now there's certain schools, certain churches and schools where they don't want you firing rifles. So
Oh,
that's okay.
understandably,
That's okay.
especially these days.
Gee, wonder why.
That's about the story right there
That's
in a
pretty
nutshell.
cool. Yeah. Well, thank you. And I was wondering, I've heard about the American Legion, of course, growing up, but I always wondered, so it's for veterans. So you have to be a veteran to be a member of it. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then, but of any branch, you were saying you're from the
any
Navy.
branch. And it's the 6 branches now, which is Army, Coast Guard, Air Force, Navy.
Space Force.
Well, the Space Force is the 6th
The
one.
last?
Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard,
Oh,
Yeah.
forgot the Air Force maybe.
Yeah, that one. And
and,
so
and
there's
Space Force.
Space Force now, and they're just coming about, and they're part of our, family.
Sure.
Is what we call it.
Definitely. Well, and I think that's interesting to be going after younger people too, only because I think of the American Legion as an older organization. So hopefully our listeners will help spread that word that it's for young people as well. And it's not just an older organization, that's a contemporary organization doing a lot in the community.
I'd like to add one thing.
Sure.
Back in my father's day, and before him and my uncles, all of them were in the service, the Legion got a bad reputation for being a cheap beer place.
Oh, that might be a good reputation on
good
some
reputation
socials,
today.
That
but
could be a
not
bad
there.
one.
Sure.
The younger generation of soldiers, sailors, and airmen, they want someplace they can take their family. They want someplace where they can go on a night of the week, go to a meeting, be recognized, and you don't have to drink.
So dispelling that rumor, it's a family-friendly place these days.
We're trying.
Very nice. That's good to know. Good to hear. Well, and you mentioned that next month you're going to be at the Heroes Memorial. So maybe, Lisa, this is a good opportunity for you to tell us what that is and maybe paint a picture, because we're on radio, it's audio. So maybe what that beautiful landscape looks like.
Well, it's first and foremost, it's been a project for the last 8.5 years, if not 9. And it was inspired by Dick Eggerding, who was the founder of the project. He's done a lot of work in Oro Valley as a volunteer, and worked a lot with the city, as well as identifying some of the most important things as Oro Valley's been growing up. And having a love for the arts, and a love for the military. He's 91.
Gosh,
And
already he doesn't look 91.
I know.
At all.
I hope somebody says that about me later.
It'll be nice.
But as we're building this, it actually is in Narangha Park in Oro Valley. It sits on 2.5 acres of land, so it's not a small memorial. It is a large memorial. It was inspired and designed by several people. So we have a group of people that were headed up by Bill Assemacher, who owned Cade Industries back before 2018 when he sold it.
Mm-hmm.
So what it does is, I'm going to just walk you through a little bit of it. When you come upon it, you're going to be going right into the parking lot, and that parking lot you're going to be greeted with a sign, very large wall that is there to welcome you, and then you get out of your vehicle. You're going to walk into the north, which you're going to see this enormous 24-foot monument right in the center. And that's just the beginning. You can see that from a distance, and this was custom made. It's 24 feet tall, and it also has a star, which was inspired by the Medal of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote about that in Oro Valley Style, actually, this past month. And then on the other side, it's a saying of the reasons why this entire place is being honored, and who they're honoring. And so now you're walking in, and then to the right is going to be what's called the Legacy Garden, and that holds 1,440 pavers that we're still selling for people who want to dedicate a brick to their hero. They can go right on our site. And then on top of that, when you're going to see it, it's just it's got 6 benches around it that you can sit and reflect. And then you can get back up, and there's going to be trees. This is a living memorial, and it's for generations to come. Then you walk in, and you're going to be on the Pathway of Heroes. And the Pathway of Heroes, you can go to your left, the left or the right, because it's a circle. It's a circle of community, and how everybody is brought together in order to bring this together. And
Nice.
I still get a little touched by it.
Sure.
The very first wall is my wall. I was an Army girl, so I didn't make it that way.
I was going to say, but you?
I didn't have any influence on that. It just so happens to be the very first military group that started. And so then we have the Army, we have the Marines, the Navy, we have the Air Force, we have the Coast Guard, as you're walking around it.
Sure.
Then we also are honoring, did I say Space Force?
Not yet. I was going to ask you.
I was going to say, we do have Space Force.
Okay,
and
even
it
though
has
they're
its
so
own
current.
wall.
Yeah.
It's so current, but we changed that right at the last minute a year
Good
and a half
idea.
ago. And then we also have a wall for first responders and healthcare workers, which is a double wall. And then we also have one for NOAA and public health. And then we also have that another section within the Legacy Garden. We are also honoring the Merchant Marines as well as the National Guard.
Wow.
So they have their own medallions. And then each wall actually has a saying on each one of them. I'm not going to give you all of them because, number one, I can't remember them all. But number
Sure.
two, you got to come and see it.
Oh, yeah. It'll be so different to see it in person.
Oh, yeah. And then we also have a 90-foot by 15-foot amphitheater in the back, and that's for the future education programs.
Very nice.
So we're very excited because Spencer Construction, as you know, is our primary sponsor. They have they're over $1.5 million sponsor for us, so they have really stepped up to the plate to make this happen. And so we are now coming in 5 weeks. The grand opening and ribbon cutting is on November 16th, starting at 11 o'clock in the morning, and then after that it'll be officially open to the public.
Very nice.
Yeah, so we're super excited. I mean, it's a labor of love. We have a great board of directors. They've all been with the project since day one. Some of it had been added on, like in 2017, but they never broke apart even after COVID. So this has been, one of the reasons why it is done so well in recovering from COVID.
Oh, yeah, that's so wonderful. And I love that it's in Naranjo Park because, for those who are not familiar with Oro Valley or Naranjo Park specifically, it's a very family-friendly park.
It is.
So lots of great things for kids. There's soccer fields, there's great playgrounds, splash pads, zip line, archery. That's it, all kinds of wonderful things. So it's bringing family into that. So, you could come to the park and do your family thing and then circle through the memorial.
And I think also it's important that it's seen.
Yes.
Because the question will come up, and it's not just like, oh yeah, we're going to donate an acre of land behind somewhere that nobody sees it, and you need like a GPS system in order to get there. You're just going to be seen every day by someone, and the question's going to come up. What is that?
I was going to say, not just veterans. Sometimes if it's just for veterans and it's off to the side, then the public doesn't participate.
Yeah, it represents 1.5 million people in the state of Arizona. That's why we call it the Arizona Heroes Memorial.
Yeah,
and
that's a big
You
number.
don't have to be a military person or a person within Arizona in order to get to be honored here. So that's really important as well. Because somebody had asked me, do you have to live in Arizona in order to have a brick or, what I said? No, it's everybody. I'm from Chicago.
Right.
So,
So is there a brick with Lisa's name on it?
I think
there should be.
think somebody bought. I think my sister bought it for me.
That's a fun idea. Very nice. Well, it's very exciting that it's finally coming to the grand opening, and I think with that giant obelisk in the middle, really, you can't miss it.
Just amazing. And it's, and it is a actual piece of public art. It'll be registered in Oro Valley as a piece of public art because that's how it got there.
Was it part of that 1% art tax?
It was. I'm not sure exactly how that worked out because of being a nonprofit. I think it was one of the first things.
Sure.
However, when Dick stood on that land, they said that this would be a great place for a memorial.
Yes. Oh, they were right.
And yeah, Dick was great.
Well, thank you for all you've done.
Thank you.
To bring it up here and to get in there on the finish line. That's pretty exciting.
You know my background in disasters, and so recovering from COVID was, a very challenging time because they had lost almost all their sponsors, and so I'm very privileged to be a part of this.
Well, we're glad you're there.
Thanks.
And we will be there on November 16th.
Thank you.
Jeff and I will be there. That'll be
hope
fun.
so. Yes.
Definitely. Well, Tom, I was going to ask you more about the Legion. One of the things that I was thinking about that you were talking about was before when you were talking to me about your flag program and what you're doing with the grommets. And I think people don't realize that you retire flags. And then if you would tell the story of what's happening with the grommets to those flags, I think that's so unique.
Well, what's going to happen? We're going to cut out grommets. Right now we have about 1,600, 1,800 flags that will go through, I guess, next Saturday or something like that. I'm not sure exactly the date. But these grommets are what the flag hooks into to go up and down the flagpole. Mm-hmm. When the flag is no longer serviceable, in other words, it's ripped, faded, whatever, non-serviceable, you bring it to the Legion. There's drop boxes all over Oro Valley, Catalina, Ace Hardwares, it's all over. And we collect the flags. And what we're going to do, we're going to sit down at a table with a pair of scissors, chop the grommets out. Then we take the grommets and we give them to our district, which is, there's about 16 posts in this district. And then they go to the department, and the department's going to put them together and send them off the place where they make the ship's bells.
Oh, wow.
Now, I know nobody
Isn't that a fun
hasn't
recycle?
been.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, if somebody hasn't been in the Navy, the ship's bell, it started out way back when ships were made of wood and men were made of steel, I guess is the term.
Sure.
Each bell, when you ring it, means 8 o'clock, 8:30, all the way up to the 4 hours. And then that tells the time. Then when it goes back to 0, or start again at 8, 12, 4, and 8. But you don't do them at midnight or 4 o'clock.
You let people sleep. That's nice. So they're well rested.
Most of the time. But these, like I said, these grommets will be taken, melted down, and turned into the ship's bell for the new submarine, the USS Arizona.
Oh, perfect.
That's very cool.
Gives me chill bumps.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly the side number or what it's going to be called, but it's one of the newer submarines. I'm pretty sure it's going to be nuclear powered, and they're big.
Yeah.
Sure.
but you still got to go down through a hatch to get into it or out of it.
No, thanks. You have to have
Don't
be
go
just,
if you're claustrophobic.
I was gonna
That's
say, you have
for
to
sure.
be just the right person to be able to serve in a submarine, I think.
Well, you do, because there's usually 9 racks between the missile silos.
Oh, gosh.
And these 9 guys sleep, there's 9 guys working.
Right.
These 9 guys get off work, they come in, the 9 guys that are in the racks go to work. And they call it hot racking.
Wow.
And you're probably underwater a long time.
Yes. I was on carriers. I had to see the sunlight every once in a while.
Sure. Kind of hard to do from a submarine.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think it's really cool that that somebody had that idea to recycle those grommets and turn it into something so fun.
Yeah,
And
that's cool.
it'll be fun when we, as the public, have a chance to tour that Arizona and know that that's part of it. So very, very fun project. I'm glad you do that. Maybe you can talk about the program that the Legion puts on called Be the One and what that does for veterans.
Be the One is probably the biggest project the American Legion has. And other organizations with us that do also have projects similar. Be the One is be the person that stands up, talks to veterans. Be the one that you notice somebody that's, we'll just say, going off kilter. Try to talk to them, try to get them professional help through the VA, through civilian. I think the number's eight. I forgot the number, but it's easy to call, the suicide hotline.
Sure.
Okay.
Get a hold of the VA, get a hold of the police department, get a hold of the American Legion people that you know. Anybody. If a veteran is having an off day, have a service member or veteran having an off day, get a hold of one of them people, talk to somebody. Suicide is rough on, first of all, your fellow veterans.
Sure.
See another veteran or service member pass away. It's rough on the families, because somewheres that veteran or service member has a mother, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, cousins, whatever. And we want to try to stop that. And it's just getting the help. We have a couple things in the Legion that it's a kind of a start, and that is what we call a buddy check. Every year, we get a list of names from our adjutant with their phone numbers. And you give them a call, and all you do is talk to them. You don't ask them for any money. You don't ask them to renew their dues. You talk to them about them and you can hear it in their voice. Something might be off. Okay, well, then you go to the next step. You go and find somebody, either our service officer, who's Jerry Harwood. She's a great gal. She's a go-getter. Or you get a hold of the VA, you get a hold, somebody that you can pass this person along to.
Sure.
But you stay with them. You don't send them off and go, bye, see ya. You go, hey, let's go down here to this. Let me take you over to this, churches, whatever.
So you become their advocate.
Or their friend, even.
Friend,
well,
kind
yeah.
of
a friend, but more a brother or a sister.
Mm-hmm.
That's
nice.
one step ahead of a friend. And
Yeah.
no, we don't care whether you're any of the other services, but wherever you're at in your life.
Yeah.
And I haven't personally, but I know a couple of our members that have talked to their wives that were just going, bonkers. And they got them help through a civilian type organization, because suicide prevention is not just a Legion thing.
Oh, no.
It's every citizen in the United States, because there's so much turmoil going on that we need each other. And that's what it's all about, is each other. You can't do it alone.
And I think that's a great comment, too, that, even people who are serving as military folk have family. And sometimes it's stressful on the family. And you're not even out in the war or out on the field, but just managing a family at home while someone's away for such an extended time is challenging too. So
I think it's kind of like isolation as well, where it's so easy for people to be isolated these days with all the technologies and stuff. And so it kind of creates their own little world. Oftentimes that can be very detrimental, and it's a great service. It's a great service.
Well, a real quick story. When I used to come off a cruise, 6 months, 9 months, depending on what it was, you'd come home and there was bags packed. My wife had her bags packed. The neighbor had her bags packed. They'd hand you the house key. They'd kiss you goodbye and said, the kids are all yours.
I was going to say the kids are
yours. And they would take off and go. And they stuck together, the Navy wives and Army, Air Force, the rest of them.
Sure.
Would stick together. And they'd go have fun.
Sure. They'd take some time off.
Well-deserved fun.
Oh, very well-deserved. Because the best laid plan of anything operates on one thing. The hardest job in the military is a military wife.
Sure.
Or now, I got to say spouse. Yes.
Sure.
So I can be politically correct.
That's right. Well, that's so true, though. I think that's neat that the Legion is there for both sides, for the service members and also for their families. And you have to be in the Legion, though, you have to have served in the military. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, to be a member of the Legion, per se. Gotcha.
But you don't have to be in a combat zone.
Okay.
You just have to be, if you join the Legion and you stayed in the United States, you're eligible for the Legion in a certain period of time, and I think it's pretty well opened up that they changed the rules.
It's nice because there's so many positions in the military. I mean, administrative as well as on the battlefield or out on the front lines.
Well, if it wasn't for the administration part, we couldn't do our job on the front lines.
Sure.
And if you operate a carrier at sea, which has got 4,000 to maybe 5,000 men, 90 aircraft, and all your supplies have got to be where you are at.
Sure.
So you've got to have a lot of logistics, and those people, my hat's off to them.
And a good GPS.
Yes.
Here you go. That is all very important.
In the Navy, it's called a sextant.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's true. Old school. Old school, but still good. Well, we're going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsor, and then we'll be right back to talk more about veterans and heroes.
Today's program is brought to you by SKIP, the Social Service Contractors Indemnity Pool. SKIP is a member-owned, member-directed insurance provider with more than 3 decades of insuring Arizona social service organizations for their property, general and professional liability, and auto claim exposures. With an Arizona-based staff of claim underwriting and risk management professionals, SKIP specializes in providing personalized service, affordable premiums, and coverage which meets and often exceeds the state of Arizona's contract requirements for social service providers. For more information, visit our website at www.sscip.org or ask your insurance agent about protecting your organization with insurance coverage through SKIP.
Welcome back after the break, and I'm here today with 2 nonprofit superheroes. Tom Roblee with the American Legion Post 132. He's the commander there in Oro Valley. And Lisa Hopper with the Arizona Heroes Memorial as the executive director. So I was going to ask you, Lisa, you talked about Spencer and the construction of the project itself, but we know in the nonprofit world, sponsors are a huge, important part of what we do, and I was really excited to hear about what Jim Click was doing. So maybe you could talk about some of the sponsors and
absolutely
let the community know who's involved.
You know, when this project started a long time ago, and it was before me, I came in 2022, January 2022. And there was a lot of work that had to be done in advance, which is design work. There was a lot of things that needed to be completed as far as testing of the soils. I mean, probably 2 years from 2017, a lot of that stuff was being done, and it couldn't be done without sponsors. So back in those days, there were some that made it through COVID. But Jim Click has been a really great advocate of the organization and what it meant to have a memorial, one of its kind in west of the Mississippi, if probably not the United States. And I think he's just been such a great humanitarian throughout our entire community. And he put in $100,000, and his name is on one of the service walls for that, which is the Army wall, actually. He chose that one.
I was going to ask you if he was served. Do you know if he did?
Actually, I don't know if he did.
Yeah.
I know that he did take over the ownership from Boompa. He put Boompa's name on, which is his father.
Sure.
Put it on the first service wall, which was the Army. So I believe his father may have served.
So he might be an Army brat if he wasn't a military person himself. Yeah. Okay, I was just curious.
But he's always been there to step up for and support the veterans and other organizations as well. I mean, he's just always been there for this community. And now we're seeing some of the younger generation groups coming in as well. Spencer Construction is a very young organization. They have grown very quickly. They started their organization in 2017. It's actually a women's owned. It's owned by Patrick and Lindsay. Lindsay is Patrick's wife. And so they started this themselves. They worked he worked in the construction industry, and then he decided to start his own organization in 2017. And what a humble person, and what a humble family. He actually thanked me last week for bringing this project to him, and he said, "I'm so happy I said yes to you." I mean, you want to talk about humble? I mean, I am so grateful. Like, the universe works so well right now. And so we have other organizations, WLB, which has been here since day one. WLB Group has managed all the design work, all the permits. I mean, everything that is needing to work with the everything from plants, all the engineering.
Sure.
And then structural, Schneider Structural has been there. CMEX has been like the ones who are actually building. We've had a lot of partial sponsors coming in, 35 of them actually, which is from CMEX to the border pieces where you've got walkways that have to go in, all the way. It's just Spencer Parsons. Parsons Steel is doing the framework for the amphitheater. Cool. We also have had a couple of other personal donations, because you need both. You need financial support as well as sponsors that are providing those services for you. And so we had one family. We have actually had two come in at $300,000. For things, but this is a multi-million-dollar project.
Oh, sure.
And it is, I mean, it's insane the amount of costs that have risen, because of this, and we're going to get it done.
Well, I was going to say, because after COVID, all of those supply chains and all the cost of concrete and everything just went skyrocketing, and so a lot of construction projects got shortened.
Yep.
Or shrink,
or they didn't exist. I mean, there were people that were saying that this was not going to happen. And it's like,
sure.
I'm just going to do it.
I love it.
I feel that we have a great team, we have a great organization, and everybody pulled together. And I come from an unconventional background anyway because of World Care, and I've always worked in disaster environments where everything is compromised. So you just have to be a good decision maker, and you have to have a lot of faith in what bringing in like-minded people that want to do things the right way and make magic happen. And this is a magic time.
I totally agree with all of that. I was raised in a family. The motto is "Don't try, do."
Yeah, exactly.
And it's and we had this big word "imagine" on our kitchen wall when our kids were growing up. And it's once you think that way, anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
Like I said, it's just a matter of finding the resources, finding the people who have a passion for it. And I could see how the people in the construction of it alone, just seeing that come to life,
they're so
would
proud.
Be so emotional. And, even if you're don't have a relatability to veterans. Maybe you didn't have anyone in your family who did, but we all respect them, I think, and are so appreciative.
Well, and even, walking the site, and there's stories everywhere. The construction workers that are out there, the businesses that everybody has a connection somewhere, whether it's a first responder, if it's a healthcare worker, if it's veterans groups, Army, Navy, all of them. There's just, the stories are just amazing, and I think they're just going to keep coming. And that's what we want to make sure, that the next generations don't lose this.
Right.
They can't lose. They have to know what sacrifices have been made in these service industries that people support. And maybe they, too, would want to be a part of that as they grow up, having a positive impact and being a part of that. So I am, like I said, I'm just extremely honored and blessed to be a part of it. And I'm glad I, too, said yes. So,
well, it's going to be a fun November when we open it up to the world. And
oh, my gosh.
Very cool. Well, that's such a fun thing. So I'm really looking forward to it. And
thank you.
Congratulations on all the work getting to the finish line. I know as it paused after COVID and we didn't know what was going on.
That was tough.
That must be a really great feeling.
It was, as I learned about the project, I kind of felt I understood the urgency of what needed to be done. And like I said, we have a great team. I have a great board of directors that have all been there for us. And one by one, they all came. And it did take a village, and it's happening.
That's so true. Yeah. Well, it's going to be very, very cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then, Tom, I was thinking, with the American Legion as a nonprofit also, you were talking about membership, the power of the numbers of Legionnaires who can then, bring some influence to Congress to get things to happen so you can advocate for all these people. But I know you must not survive only on dues, so you must do fundraisers and have people donate to the American Legion. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am. They can, like I said, they can go online and donate to the American Legion. They can contact an Oro Valley American Legion member, donate to them, and they'll give it to our finance officer. We do like Heroes Memorial, or not Heroes Memorial, Rockin' for Heroes, the concert that's coming up. You see a Legion member down there, tell them, hey, this is for the Legion. And it doesn't matter, dollar or whatever.
Sure.
We do have some people that are quite friendly with their wallets, shall we say.
Sure.
The town of Oro Valley has supported us the last 3 years for our convention that we've had over the El Conquistador and our conferences that are coming up. And there's been other sponsors too, but the town of Oro Valley is a big one. We do our golf tournament, and that brings in quite a bit of money as far as, it's close to $20,000 every year. We have it.
That's great.
But we couldn't do it without the support of the town. We couldn't do it without the support of the golf courses, giving us a real good break as far as prices. But our volunteers, that's the biggest thing that we have, that can go out there and sit at the tables, to sit at the booths, to sit at wherever, and be part of the Legion. But they're bringing in the people. They're getting the exposure in the town of Oro Valley, Catalina, wherever we go, Marana Cemetery out there, any of the schools, things like that.
Sure. Well, I have to say, one of the fundraisers that we support that I think is really fun is the sale of red poppies at Memorial Day. And I always wear red poppies on Memorial Weekend, and I think it was fun because one of the members comes to all these different locations around that time of year, and they're selling poppies, so we always buy them, and it's fun to buy them for the whole staff and tell the whole staff the story so they can wear them. So maybe you could share the story of the poppies and why the Legion sells poppies.
Okay, well, first of all, we don't sell the poppies.
Oh, it's a donation, that's true.
Yes, we go out there and we offer a red poppy, which started out in Flanders Field in France. for the remembrance of all the service members that have died. And what we do is we go, for Oro Valley, we've got a couple spots, and that's Fry's on La Cañada and Lambert, or the Fry's on First and Oracle. Mm-hmm. Two places that we do things. And what we do is we just offer the poppies, and if a person wants to make a donation, and I've had little kids come up to me and give me money because I do help the auxiliary. It's the auxiliaries project, but we as Legion members, we support them, and they drop it in the can, and I give them a poppy. Well, sometimes we have flags for them.
They love flags, don't they?
Flags, yeah.
They do. During the parade that we had, I think it was 600 flags.
Wow.
That we gave out along the parade route.
That must have been a spectacle.
Fun.
I love, even our Elks in Catalina post all these flags on every holiday.
Yep.
And it's just such a dramatic moment to drive down the street and just pass so many flags all standing. So I can imagine 600 flags in the hands of spectators at a parade would be so cool.
Yep. Well, the Elks Lodge in Catalina, they have a lot of programs that help veterans too. Mm-hmm. And we sometimes work with them in other organizations like the VFW, DAV, and it goes on and on. I would be amiss to say that I, could name them all.
Sure.
Well, I think that's a good thing, because if you could just name one or two, but it's hundreds. I mean, I think, with communications today, we have an opportunity to really, connect with everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it is an important thing. And I think we all realize that's Impact always says that's our key to success, is that we bring the community together. We partner with everyone. And so that's exactly it. I agree. So that's, I'm sure you have a lot of partners and a lot of war-related or veteran-related. So it's neat that there are so many partners and so many people that you work with, but there's so many different people who are involved in veterans, so it makes sense. You mentioned a concert. Do you have a fundraising event coming up, a concert?
It's Rockin' for Heroes. It's at the
Jim Creek Park.
Yeah, I think that's it over there, over there by the school. And that's just started by a man and a wife. Their son passed away, and they wanted to do something to honor his memory. So they got these bands. I think the last one was from Russia, and I think this year the one's from Chicago. But they play music. It's all free.
Oh, nice.
And they have, of course, food trucks and adult alcoholic beverages. And they do have sodas for the kids or somebody that doesn't drink.
Sure.
But you can make the donations to the American Legion. The VFW is going to have a tent booth, whatever you want to call it, over there. And I know the police departments and some of the schools, I think, in the past years have had, booths set up and
that sounds
that we
like
go
fun.
to.
Yeah, that's actually put on by. They're called Light Up Lives.
Okay, I don't think I've heard of it. Yeah.
And that's Bonnie and Mike Quinn.
Oh,
Yes.
nice. That's it. Mm-hmm. Is it the same time of year every year, essentially, like a seasonal thing?
It has been.
Yeah.
They had us as one of their. We were gifted from them.
Sure.
For 2 years. So it was very nice to have that.
That is a neat thing.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even know what was going on. There's so much that goes on in Tucson, with so many activities, and so it's good to know about.
Yeah, I think the Oro Valley is really, stepping up, because we do have a lot going on here, and I'm a part of some of these subcommittees that we're trying to get the word out more on what's going on and who's here, and connecting people. So, stay tuned, because we got a lot of stuff going on.
There you go.
Yeah,
there's a lot in our future, isn't there? I was going to ask you, too, if there's anything else that you have going on. You were talking about volunteers. So do you need volunteers, Tom, for things that the Legion does? And Lisa, I was thinking, do you need volunteers for opening day or for other projects, you guys?
Not for opening day, but we are going to start our, having more active volunteer programs as it's built now, And so I did want to put a shout out to HSL because they just donated quite a nice piece of donation money.
That's nice.
That helps us, pay for some of the bills that we have. So that's really great. But anybody who would like to learn more about our program and our organization, they just need to go to azheroesmemorial.org and check it out because we have live video of the build on there. Not live, but it's tape, but it's we have aerial, and it's really just a lot of fun.
So it would be fun. And I have to say, too, I think people forget. When I was in the junior league in Seattle, we built a big park in Seattle, and it was so much fun. But we recognized going into it that we had to set up an endowment of about $300,000 to maintain the park. Because it's one thing to build that memorial, but now there's maintenance and...
Well, not only that, but to protect it as well.
Sure.
I mean, from people who don't have the respect, and we've seen that already happening around town with people doing destructive things to places of honor. And, so I think that as we move forward, I know this, is that it's about preservation, protection, and education.
Sure.
And making sure that we have the ability and the financial wherewithal to continue with all of that, and making sure that we keep the memorial at the same level that we have it today.
Right. So donors and volunteers, don't forget, it's not over just because the construction's over.
Yeah. No, there's a lot to do, and there's a lot to put out to the community, and the community has been there. The community wanted this years ago during an assessment, and so we're just happy to be able to bring it.
Sure.
So, thank you.
Well, and we'll make sure we maintain it.
Yes.
And that's why I was thinking, Tom, maybe you were talking about you have an auxiliary. So is the auxiliary a group of volunteers or?
No, the auxiliary is a group of spouses.
Sure.
Not wives, but spouses.
Of all genders then, sure.
Yes, because the new modern service has the females doing the roles and combat roles,
Absolutely.
supply roles, every role.
Men and women in the military out on the front
I'm an
lines.
old Army girl, so yeah.
That's it.
And, we work together. Do we need volunteers? The answer is a big yes.
Sure.
They can get a hold of myself at my email address, and I can turn them to the right people. But we have, like I said, we go to the VA hospital. We go to all the schools, churches, wherever we need to go someplace, funeral homes, whatever. So if we had the help, volunteers are the way to go. And no, they don't have to be veterans, but they just got to support our veterans organization.
Sure. They have to care.
Yes, ma'am.
That's very nice.
It's a great word.
Isn't it?
I like the word kind also.
Sure. And it would be kind to volunteer doing those kinds of things, for sure. Well, I know there's so many nonprofits in Tucson, so it's always nice to make sure the listeners realize you can volunteer in so many different places, and everyone has a different passion.
That's right.
So that's, I think, an important thing. And like you said, it was nice that they're not, you didn't have to be a veteran to participate.
Yeah. One more thing. If a person is not able to walk great distances, if they're wheelchair bound, even if they're in their homes but would like to do something, we have lists that you can call people, lists that you can talk to people. It's the buddy checks, on steroids. But every person that helps us helps the veterans.
That's great.
Very nice. And that's even for the person who is volunteering, that's such a rich experience. So I think that's a very cool thing. We did that with our seniors. We would call seniors who are living home alone. So we recognize that connection is important. So,
yes.
Well, we so appreciate you both being here. I know You've done so much in the community and so much to honor veterans, and both of you are important parts of Tucson.
Well, thank you for inviting us on.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
You're so
Thank you.
welcome.